All right, welcome back to Eric's Corner with a word to the not so wise. If you like my show, smash that subscribe button, share, and spread the word of whatever's on my mind tonight. Today I've told stories before, but I'm gonna go ahead and tell another one. This is gonna be about when my dirt bike got stolen, and this episode I'm pretty excited to do because it's been irking me for a very long time. This happened like 5 years ago, and it's still pissing me off. But I didn't have a YouTube channel to get it out there on. So my dirt bike got stolen in Washington when I was doing a range clearing job there. Had it chained up, all that good stuff. And these pieces of shit showed up with bolt cutters and just took it, of course. But I was like, I normally would have kept it in the yard, but I had it out in the yard because I had a for sale sign on it because I was trying to sell it. So I was like, well, let's put it out where people can see it. I was right across from a school in a well-lit area. I thought, well, there's just no way. Well, they came at night, of course, when it was raining because you sleep heavier and it covers up noise. Well, what was it, like 6.5-ish years later, I get a call like, hey, I think we have something that belongs to you. Did you have a dirt bike stolen back in 2010, I think it was? And I was like, yeah. And they're like, oh, well, they recovered it. I was like, oh, okay, well, what kind of shape is it in? She's like, well, I don't know. Call this towing company, they have it. I was like, okay, cool. And I'm on the East Coast. I was in the Navy at the time, stationed on the carrier. I called this place. I'm like, hey, you have my dirt bike. They're like, oh yeah, it'll be $250 for the impound fee and another $35 a day for us storing it for you. Yeah, gee, thanks so much. And this was like 8 or 10 days into it or something. So my bill was already $1,000, and this bike is an '03, and I don't even know if it runs anymore. As it turns out, they bent the shift fork, which is a major repair. The tow truck driver, I found this out a little later, was like, well, it won't go into gear. I was like, well, it was kind of finicky to get into gear, so we'll see. So I put it out on Facebook. Hey, anybody in the Washington area, help me out here. Well, a dude I was on that job with when it got stolen, he's like, well, I got a buddy who's in town right now. He's in the Army or was in the Army, so on and so forth. He might be able to help you. So I get a hold of this dude, and he's like, oh, sure, I'll go pick it up for you and all that stuff, and I'll ship it to you or whatever. Okay, cool. So he goes and talks to he goes to pick it up, and he talks to the tow truck driver, and he's like, oh yeah, this is like the 5th property that this hoarder has had to have the state come and clean up. So the company got a $25,000 contract for going and cleaning up this yard. And I'm talking to the lady, I'm like, well, you have my stolen property. I'll pay the impound fee, that's fine, but $35 a day, that's what it costs to store a car. My bill, the bike just isn't worth that. And she's like, well, pay the impound fee and sign it over to us, and we won't charge you storage. Like, the fuck would I pay you anything if you're just going to keep it? Piss off. And I'm like, well, you put it on a flatbed with other stuff, so that's not even like a full impound fee. Oh, well, blah, blah, blah. And she had an excuse for that. So I went and talked to a Jag, and he called and managed to work me out a deal. It still cost me $600 some to get it. And I was like, well, you're literally stealing my motorcycle from me. Like, how can you do this? She says, how can you do this? Like, I should have a reasonable amount of time to get my property back at a reasonable price. Well, we did nothing wrong here. We're selling a service. We got your stolen property back for you. Gee, thanks. And, I paid like $3,000 for it. It ended up costing me like $600 some to get it back. And that was the deal that got worked out, which they weren't doing anything to help me. She talked to the owner of the company, and I asked to talk to him personally. And she's like, well, no, he doesn't want to talk to you. Okay, well, great. A little pussy peon piece of shit won't even talk to me man to man, has his little dipshit secretary do it. So we arrived on this deal, and he knows at auction he's not getting very much for it because it won't shift into gear. So he's not doing me any favors. He's only going to get $400, $500, $600 for it at auction. So, okay, just give me my stolen property back for $600. And like I said, I was in the Navy at the time. What if I was deployed? I come back from deployment like, oh, hey, oh, yeah, we auctioned it off. Sorry. Oh, well, fuck you. We got your stolen property back just to take it from you. And I talked to the detective on the case, and I was like, well, why don't you guys have it? He's like, well, it has to be used in a crime to go to police impound. I was like, well, they are in possession of my stolen property. They have to give it back to me. Well, yeah, they do, but you got to pay for it. And I said, well, I want to press charges on the guy who had my motorcycle. He's in possession of stolen property. Possession, 9/10 of the law. You have it, it means you stole it, or have, or he had to have known it was stolen. I think they wrote it and wrecked it and dropped it on that shift fork, which is the only way you can bend it. It's a heavy steel part, about that big around, about that long. Like, you got to crash or put it down pretty hard to bend it. It doesn't just do it on its own. He's like, well, to do that, he has to know that it's stolen. Like, dude, he bought that for $100 because the tow truck driver, again, I found out later because the guy who's, now my buddy who talked to him, he's like, oh yeah, I found it in a bread van. So it was in covered storage. It came back in the same condition. I literally put a new tire on it and it got stolen off the trailer that I rolled it onto and strapped it down to. The tire still had its fuzzies on it. So it was still in the same shape, which was cool. But I still had to take it to a shop and have it fixed because, well, I'm able to fix it, but it's a major job. I was just never going to get to it. So that was $1,000 and ended up selling it and doing a partial trade for a snow machine, which is broken out there too. So, they triple dipped on me. They got paid for the cleanup. They got double paid for the towing. Then they charged me to store it for me. Gee, thank you so much. You guys are a tow truck company. You're there to help people, and this just absolute got screwed over. And if I was there in Pierce County, Washington, I could have gone to the courthouse and filed a grievance and said, hey, it's a wrongful towing. And I would have got the settlement and I would have gotten they would have had to return my money. It would have been a court ordered, but I had to physically be there. I'm like, what do you mean I have to be there? I can't do this online. And this was 2017, I think. Computers are a very, very well used thing. And she's like, oh yeah, there's some new legislation that's going down to protect victims of a crime. You guys took that contract. You took the responsibility of taking this stuff. If it's stolen, I get it back. You got paid for it already. So anyway, that was Emerald Towing in Pierce County, Washington. So fuck you guys. I really hope the owner of that company and the secretary see this episode. Probably will, because I think I'm going to actually contact them and send you the link. So, I don't even want my money back. Karma's a bitch. So whenever you get screwed over again, I want you to think of me, which it's kind of funny. So, these things go full circle. So I've hated tow truck companies for a long time. I had another truck towed. It was worth $500. They contacted me 3 weeks later. I was in the Philippines and they were like, oh yeah, it'll be $1,500 to get it back. I was like, well, no. I was like, how can you tell me 3 weeks later at $50 a day that you're storing it for? Oh, well, we don't even have to tell you in 5 weeks because there's no lien holder on it. Oh, right. Fuck me. I'm the asshole here. All right, whatever. Title's in it. You just keep it. I didn't give a shit. You guys ain't getting shit for it anyway. It's actually a decent truck. But I had a buddy that's friends with a guy who owns a tow truck company, and he hooked a brother up. I had to store a big trailer somewhere for a few days while I was in Anchorage, and he let me store it in his yard for free. Then I got a flat on it, and he lent me the tools, and it kind of gave me some help and assistance getting it the rest of the way down the road. So he was pretty cool. But I still hate tow truck companies. That's a criminal organization. You shouldn't be able to legally steal somebody's property and charge whatever just charge me $10,000 a day. Oh, well, that's price gouging. There's got to be some kind of reasonable something, but charging the same for a dirt bike as you do a car. Just charge whatever you want. Charge $500 a day. Then who gives a shit, there are some instances where, they, owe you or whatever, or where they're good to have around, of course. But so anyway, don't use tow truck companies. And I hope this reaches you there at Emerald Towing, if you're even still in business. But yeah, it's just mind blowing that I couldn't file a grievance. And I talked to the detective. I said, well, go get it for me. Go say, hey, we need to take that dirt bike, and then just turn it over to me. And this dude, who again I'm now friends with, I'd never met him in person. He went and got it, stored it in his yard. This girl I dated years and years before went and picked it up because she was able to put it in her shop, so it was in covered storage. So anyway, I got it fixed, got it to a good home. I was actually knew the dude's wife, a real estate agent, really nice lady. So I went to a good home. They got it real fixed up, real good, and I'd have hung on to it, but I've just never really been into dirt bikes, and it just hurts my arm. It just beats me up too bad. Not like snow machines don't, but the ground's a little softer. So principle of the matter, I got my property back, and I did get a little bit more than I had into it, not by too terribly much. But there needs to be something that changes with this, the legalities of this. You can't just take somebody's property and just, oh, okay, well, just charge me as much as you want. So that needs to be overhauled. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed my little story and my rant. Let me know if there's anything you want to hear about or whatever, thank you for staying tuned. And again, fuck you from Emerald Towing. I'll be sure to drop this in your inbox. Or maybe somebody from Honda will show up and they'll buy me a new dirt bike. I don't know, maybe the best case scenario. Or even Yamaha. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge, wink, wink. So thanks for joining me. Have a good night.